This is the Rock and Metal Faith Podcast.
With electric guitars, the heavens shake through every riff, our souls awake. This is rock and metal faith. Thunder roars, his name is praised. Through light and dark, his love will fade. Forever loud, rock and metal faith.
Welcome to the Rock and Metal Faith Podcast. It's all about the rock that makes me sing, Christian rock and metal, from the classics to the new. All right, I'm your host, Aaron Hancock, joined with my co-host, Chris Bermanen. How are you doing, Chris?
I'm doing good. This might be an episode where I pop in and out of the box again, but I will try to stay center the best I can. There we go. I won't move.
Yes, for those watching on YouTube and who have seen past episodes on YouTube, Chris has trouble keeping his camera angle stable, and then sometimes he's in, sometimes he's out the camera frame. And if you just listen to our audio, none of that is relevant to you, I guess.
I was thinking of having an episode where I'm like, those little, what are those called? The little, not dolls, but they bounce up and down.
Oh, the bobbleheads.
Yes.
You want to
That's
get?
what I'm thinking. I should have like an episode where I like, woo!
You want to turn yourself into a bobblehead, and
That's right. So what are we talking about today?
well, this is our bonus episode for the month of August. Every month we have a bonus episode where we do birthdays, death anniversaries, album anniversaries, and most of those albums are straight because it's hard to find exactly what date albums have come out. But before we get into any of that, we always pick a band that we run through. I kind of thought of this because it's popped up on Facebook again there, about, people getting into the older bands. Like the younger generation actually would get into the older bands if they knew about them. Someone actually had said, if you're in a Christian rock and roll band, why don't you do covers of some of the old classics? And they thought, well, the younger crowd don't care about that. But some of the younger crowd does care and would get into that stuff if they had heard it. So we like to introduce the classic bands on the podcast. If you grew up with the classic bands, then it's a great time to reminisce about your favorites. Today, we're going to check out a band that I actually didn't know. I've heard people talk about. Band that, when were they around? They were around from 77, I believe, to 80 or whatever. Band called Barnabas. They were one of the pioneers of Christian hard rock and heavy metal. They started about the same time as Resurrection Band and Jerusalem, although they weren't really aware of Res or any other band around the time when they started. They were formed in Los Angeles, California, 77 until about 86. Formed by Monty Cooley, who placed an ad in Guitar Center looking for musicians interested in forming a Christian hard rock band. Like I said, at the time there was very few bands doing that. And Rez was around about the same time, but apparently he didn't hear of Rez at the time when he was trying to form his band. The lineup changed throughout the years a little bit. So we're just going to run down what is kind of known as the classic lineup. With Nancy Jo Mann on lead vocals. They had a female vocalist. Brian Ballou on guitar. Gary Mann on bass and keyboards. And Chris Klainsmith on drums. Now, if you look, I said Monty Cooley started the band, but he wasn't part of the classic lineup, so he left the band. I don't know much about this band, and that's because unfortunately, they don't have anything on the streaming services. They don't have anything on Apple or Spotify. The only place you can actually hear them, if you want to check them out, is on YouTube. They do have their albums on YouTube. So that's where I heard some of their stuff. I would recommend the album Approaching Lightspeed and Feel the Fire. They've got that good hard rock sound. Did you check out any of their music, Chris?
Yes, I did. And it was another, I just didn't.
No, you weren't into them?
I tried. No, no, no. It just didn't. It didn't get to me. I couldn't catch on to it. I tried.
Okay. I'm like that with a lot of newer bands. And there's a lot of newer bands I want to get into, want to like. And I listen to them and go, okay, well, the music's not bad. But I don't know, at the end of the day, when I'm done listening to them, I'm going, I just got nothing out of it. So I'm with that with a lot of new, no,
That's right.
I do get a lot of new bands try to get into them, especially bands I know that are popular. I'm not one of these stick in the mud to say, nope, the old bands and that's all.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I mean, I've never heard of them, so I might have passed them on in the old days at the Bible store, and I'm glad I did. So
I might actually, I gave Approaching Lightspeed listen. And I might actually pick that up sometime. I know I can get their stuff off of Amazon. So just to have some of their stuff in my collection, I might do that. I should run down their discography here too. All right, so the first record was in 1980 called Hear the Light. And the second one was in 1982 called Find Your Heart a Home. Approaching Lightspeed came out in 1983. And Feel the Fire in 84.
the only thing I did like, Aaron,
Yeah.
was the name of that album.
What,
That's the only thing I liked.
Feel the Fire?
I thought that was a different title to an album. I thought that was pretty cool.
And the last record they put out was called Little Foxes in 1986. Apparently there's a reissue. There's a record out there or a CD out there called The Gospel According to Barnabas. Came out in 92. It's a CD compilation of remixed versions from Approaching Lightspeed and Feel the Fire. Maybe I should look for that one. And stuff. And a few reissues and stuff like that. Labels like doing that, reissues, and I don't know. I suppose it's good for attracting new fans to buy their stuff. If I'm an old fan and bought the originals, I don't know if I go for reissues. But worth checking out. And the first album apparently was kind of more of a blues rock base, kind of like the stuff that early Rez was doing. And the later albums got to be a little more traditional heavy metal. So there you go. If you want to check out Barnabas, like I said, look for them on YouTube. All right, on to birthdays, album anniversaries, and all that. One album that we talked about, one we haven't. August 1st in 2005 was the release of Stryper's album Reborn. You remember we covered that one there? That was the record of Stryper's after their little breakup. And Michael Sweet solo record turned into a Stryper record. Also the same day, but a year later, was a Michael Sweet solo record called Him. This was some laid back, mellow songs. Actually, I think this was a gospel hymnals that Michael Sweet did on like acoustic guitar or something like that. So a little more laid back, a little more subtle, kind of like what he did with his latest offering. His latest offering sounds more like a 70s rock record, The Master Plan. But anyways, yeah, so those two records came out like a year apart. And because they just released Reborn and then a year later comes out with solo, I imagine this was stuff that he had sitting in the archives. But yeah, Reborn's a good album. We talked about that. Go back in our archives and look for that record and that episode talking about that record. August 10th, we have a birthday for Martin Herenstam. And he does the keyboard for Narnia. Narnia's got a new record out now too recently. We haven't actually talked about that one in depth, but I've got a copy of that one and I've been enjoying that quite a bit. If you're a fan of Narnia, it's a great album. All right. August 14th, we have Eric Gillette or Gillette. He does guitars with the band called Triton. Has also done vocals with Neil Morse. Eric was born in 1984. Triton's a good band, new band. They've got a bit of a prog sound, kind of like a Christian version of Rush. That's
Cool.
about the closest thing I could say to that. August 19th, we have our death anniversary. Let's remember one of the great drummers, Ted Kirkpatrick, who did drums with Tourniquet from 1990 to 2022 when he passed away. Not too much to say about that other than go and listen to some of the second half of Tourniquet's career and enjoy the great drums of Ted. August 20th, we have a birthday for Rob Beckley, who does vocals and rhythm guitar with Pillar. And Rob was born in 1975. The same day, in 1971, August 20th, Brad Avery, who was with Third Day on guitar from 95 to 2008. So get you some Third Day and some Pillar there. Also with Pillar, August 21st, another birthday, Michael Wittig, who does bass with them. And he was born 1976. And August 21st, another Striper release, 1990, Against the Law comes out. That was, it wasn't bad. It was Michael's least favorite record because the band was kind of backsliding. Striper Against the Law.
Oh yeah, that's awesome album. It rocks.
Yeah.
Did you see this week that I think you mentioned it on during the week about Michael now ready to find a vocalist to take over for himself, that he feels that he's ready to
I know.
start.
I know he's talked about that, and it's just been really just talked around. It's more of a what if scenario. Yeah, I don't think he's saying it's happening for sure. At least I hope not. I'd still like to see Striper with Michael on vocals. But if it ever comes down to the fact that he can't and they find somebody else, and he's been talking around. I think we talked about this last time too with the guys from To Hell with the Podcast, and they're going to be on an episode this month with us. So stick around for that. So yeah, we were kicking around ideas who could replace Michael on vocals, but he would still be part of the band. He would just play guitars for a while.
I will add with the Striper thing, I am so impressed with how open they are as a band. I mean, it seems like every other day I'm getting short videos from them. I mean, probably to show their fans that they're okay and
Right.
that Michael's okay. But I like the idea, like they were, I think yesterday it was it or something. They were in Oregon and they were showing us their soundtrack.
Okay, yeah.
And I thought that is pretty cool.
Well, not only that, they opened up one of the shows recently with, I believe it was Loud and Clear. And we're talking the first song from the first album. So how's that for a starter? And talking about old school Striper, August 23rd in 1985 was when Soldiers Under Command came out. So we got another Striper anniversary there with the Soldiers.
Is Michael with his brothers? Or does he just have one?
Well, no, he's got one brother. He's got Robert Sweet, who was the drummer for Striper. Now, the one thing I don't know about, I know can't remember his first name now. I think it was Stephen Sweet. There was a member of the band Warrant who had Sweet as a last name. Now, I'm not sure if he's part of Michael's family. Maybe he's a cousin. Maybe he's an extended family. Or maybe he's not related at all. I don't know if he is or isn't. If anybody out there knows, does Michael have any other siblings besides Robert? And Are they musicians as well? Let us know. We love to hear feedback. We love you guys to, again, touch through email, through comment, or whatever, or even through our Facebook page. We're on Facebook. We have a Facebook group, which I just changed the name so it wasn't confusing with the page. The group is now called Rock and Metal Faithful.
Yes.
And stuff. I was actually going to shorten it just down to Rock Faithful, but anyways, I left that in there. All right, August 26th, we have Peter Orta, who was with guitars with Petra from 1996 to 2000. I believe this is probably the period of time that Bob Hartman wasn't with the band. There was a period of time where he left the band. He was going to still write the records and write the songs, maybe record on the records. I don't know, but he wasn't touring with the band. So I'm guessing Peter Orta came in to tour with Petra for this time. He was born in 1971. If anyone can clarify exactly what Pete's position with Petra was at this time, let us know. And where we got here, 19. All right. Also, same day, we have Ludwig Stuhar, who does vocals for a band called Malmsteen, but you might know him as a drummer of Signum Regis from 2008 to 2009. Signum Regis is his band out of Europe. Trying to think exactly where in Europe they are. And I can't remember offhand. I've got one of their albums, not bad. Kind of a heavy power metal band. If you're into that, check them out. And they've actually gone through a few lineup changes over the years too. But Ludwig Stuhar was born in 1968. And that same day, August 26th, we have a Michael Sweet release. The album One-Sided War was released in 2016. That's a good heavy record of Michael's, probably one of his best. And then August 27th, Matt Smith, who is the man behind the band Theocracy. He's the one who started Theocracy. He was doing guitars at first, and then set the guitars aside to someone else so that he could focus on the vocals and stuff. But yeah, so Matt Smith, who is the voice behind Theocracy, basically the man behind the creation of Theocracy. August 27th. So there you go, and enjoy some Theocracy. That's about it for our birthdays and anniversaries. It's a little short, although we talked a little longer.
I wanted to thank all of our 500 followers for hanging out with me and Aaron and just listening to us. And we hope that you continue to enjoy, and maybe that you'll find friends to come along, and we'll have 1,000 or 10,000.
Yes,
a year from now. So thank you very much.
And well, the number is 200 on Spotify, although it might be 500 total because we've got Spotify, we've got Apple, we've got YouTube, and I think there's a few of them that are crossing over between multiple platforms. But yes, we've got 200 subscribers on Spotify, which is a milestone. Unfortunately, the other platforms don't let me know of the milestones unless I go in and look. And I don't always check what's going on the others there. But yeah, once again, like Chris said, thanks for joining us on the program. And we hope you
I never imagined that we would have, let alone 500. I didn't know about maybe I could coax my family. I could have maybe 50.
Well, you know what? Get the word out. And keep sharing. There's lots of people out there that listen to Christian rock and metal. We want to get them listening to the rock and metal faith as well as all the other podcasts that are out there. We support everybody who is doing something. Now, whether it's Rock for Him, whether it's To Hell with the Podcast, or the Christian Geeks, get out there and support your favorite podcast and let them know you're listening. Once again, let us know you're listening through comments on the Facebook page, through our Facebook group, the Rock and Metal Faithful. Thank you. And if you so are interested, we have a Patreon page now where you can support us financially. We have a link to buy me a coffee. and we'd encourage you to do so if you feel like it. We are not trying to push it on anyone. We know that there are people out there who would like to support the podcast, and so now you can do so.